My name is Peggy Warren, and I live here in Boulder. And I've been writing all my life. My longest and dearest memory is when I was a little girl and we were sitting in a circle, the children at school, and I noticed how everybody had different shoes. And I was so fascinated that I wrote a story about the personalities of the shoes. And it was so popular that it got published in a children's magazine.
Can you give us a brief synopsis of your book?
Well, yeah, this book, very much a woman's book. This is a very special copy of this book because this is the original version of it. 1989 it was first published, and 10 years ago I got a call from the printer and he said, "Peggy, I've just found 30 boxes of Very Much a Woman's Book in my warehouse, and what do you want me to do with them?" And so I had him send them to me because obviously I couldn't throw them away. And so I now have only this book for sale at Boulder Bookstore. Any of the new versions are on Amazon, but this is very special.
What inspired you to write this book?
Well, I wasn't really inspired. I was driven because I used to wake up in the middle of the night in fits of anxiety, and I'd go in the other room so I wouldn't disturb Ted, and I'd get a pencil and paper because I was driven to write something. So I wrote my feelings, and they turned out to be in verse form, like these poems in the book, and so I ended up printing them because I needed them for my friend anyway. That's how the whole thing started.
Can you give us a brief synopsis of your book?
It's a book of verse and drawings. The drawings are all blind contour drawings, and the verse is what I've described.
And how did you decide what to include in this book?
I included what I thought would be feelings that could be shared. It seemed something fun to do, and so my mother, I told my mother I wanted to print it, and she said, "No, you can't write all those feelings." And I said, "Well, I'm going to," and she said, "Well, then I'll pay for it."
Can you tell us about the friend for whom you first put this book together?
Yeah, she was a very dear friend of mine, 50 years old, newly divorced, and a mess. And I went to the bookstore and I asked her, the bookstore owner, if she had anything that wasn't just cute and pretty, because that's all I could find. She said, "The book you're looking for is not on our shelves, it's in here," and she put her hand over her heart. So that inspired me to go home and look up some of my own poetry that I could put together for her. So I selected what I thought was appropriate, and I gave her copies tied with a red ribbon, and she called me crying and laughing. She said, "Peggy, you've got to share this. This is every woman's feelings. You've got to publish this book." So that's what I did.
And what has this book meant to you over the years since you first published it?
It's meant a lot because the shared feelings have definitely been shared. I've had a lot of wonderful letters, and I had a marvelous story about a man who called me one day, and he said, "Are you Peggy Warren?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, I'm mad at you." And I said, "Well, that's nice. What did I do?" He said, "Well, I'm in a woman's dress store, and my wife is in trying on clothes, and I'm sitting on the sofa, and there's only one book on the coffee table, and it's Very Much a Woman's Book." And I thought, I can't read that. However, I was bored, so I picked it up, and I heard my wife for the first time in 25 years, and I want to buy 10 copies of that book for my guy friends.
Wow. What are a couple of books that you've read during the pandemic that you really loved?
Well, needless to say, I read several, but my favorite author forever has been Ann Tyler, and she has a new one. I can't quite remember the exact name of it, and then I also grew up in Toronto, so Margaret Atwood also has a new one. So I recommend both of those.
Is there anything else you want us to know about your book?
No, other than the fact that I published it way back then, and I sold by myself, I sold 20,000 copies, which was unheard of. And then I got to find that out of the 20,000, Boulder Bookstore had the book, and they sold 16 copies. So the book now will be available only at Boulder Bookstore, this version.
Can you read us a short passage from your book?
Yeah, I can read you a couple of poems. She goes through her days being what everyone wants, doing all that's expected. Her soul struggles, unable to release the bondage she has created, wrapped in the service of others. That's not a very happy one, but and I think one of my favorites is, I know by heart, an extension of myself over which I have no control. That is my grown-up child floundering through life with my guts attached. I do not ask for such a ride, but with open caring I leave myself to chafed wounds. Only in raw, relentless support can I help the awkward struggle turn from floundering to strength. And here's one I've just opened up. Sometimes at the first light of dawn when I awake, all the fears of my life come to haunt me, and I turn from the love that I want. Sometimes when I long to reach out and embrace you, all the hurts from the years rise to choke me, and I run from the love that you give. Sometimes at the last sound of life in the evening, all the tears of my childhood swirl around me, and I hide from the love that I need. Please understand, don't leave. Goodness sake. You listen, but do not hear. Speak, but do not share, because you are afraid. Bullshit, you say. Afraid of what? Afraid that I will see you and you will feel a need to cry. Trust that through your tears you will finally be able to see. And then I like this one particularly. You bring to me my life unfolded. Hidden corners open to the morning light. The sun casts reflections and the shadows are free of fear. I dance in gossamer as the weight of leaden layers is lifted. The gentle breeze of life wafts over me. The push against the storm has ceased. And then my darling daughter, Judy, is the one that's reading me the questions, and her favorite is, it's a matter of time, so what do you care about losing your looks or even your hair? You might as well hurry the process along. Have time to enjoy what's left when they're gone. And then I have a tiny favorite I like here. My friend, I have left a part of me spilled upon your floor like tiny glass beads. Tread lightly.
Great. And your website, or how did they?
Oh, well, I have a website with all my books and information about myself at peggywarren.com. But as I say, this Boulder Bookstore is the only place where you can buy this particular version of the book, which is linen pages and linen cover, and it's just extraordinary, because there's many versions since. This is about the first of 8 editions. The rest of them are all on Amazon.
Thank you, Peggy.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I wish you a great day, and go to Boulder Bookstore to see my book.